Carol Burnett, a name synonymous with wit, resilience, and groundbreaking comedy, was born on April 26, 1933, in San Antonio, Texas. Her journey from a modest and often difficult childhood to becoming one of America's most beloved entertainers is a testament to the power of perseverance and talent. Raised during the Great Depression, Carol's early life was anything but glamorous. Her parents, both alcoholics, separated when she was young. After the divorce, Carol moved with her grandmother, Mabel Eudora White, to a boarding house in a poor neighborhood in Hollywood. Despite the challenges of her upbringing, her sense of humor began to develop as a means of coping with the hardships around her. Her love for performance emerged early. Carol was captivated by films and would often act out scenes in her room or sing songs she heard on the radio. However, despite her dreams of becoming a performer, she had no connections in the entertainment industry, and her family lacked the means to support such aspirations. Nevertheless, her passion never wavered. Burnett's big break began at UCLA, where she enrolled to study journalism, but soon switched to theater arts. While in college, her talent began to attract attention. In her final year, an anonymous benefactor gave her a scholarship of $1,000 to move to New York City to pursue her dreams, a turning point that would change her life forever. With this unexpected financial support, Burnett moved to New York with hopes of making it in show business. Once in New York, she faced the typical struggles of aspiring actors: rejection, auditions, and endless waiting. However, her perseverance paid off when she began performing in nightclubs and eventually landed a role on the children's television program, The Paul Winchell and Jerry Mahoney Show. But it was her appearances on The Gary Moore Show in the late 1950s and early 1960s that brought her widespread attention. Her sharp comedic timing, expressive face, and lovable charm made her a favorite among audiences. In 1959, Burnett gained further acclaim with her comedic performance in the musical special Once Upon a Mattress, which became a Broadway hit and later aired on television. Her performance showcased her remarkable vocal talent and sense of timing, leading to a Tony nomination and solidifying her presence in both the television and theater worlds. Throughout the 1960s, Burnett continued to rise in prominence, appearing on a range of variety shows and cementing her reputation as one of the finest comedic actresses of her generation. Her warmth, combined with a gift for parody and a fearless approach to comedy, made her stand out in a male-dominated industry. Her early career was marked not only by success, but also by groundbreaking achievements. At a time when women rarely led television shows or headlined comedy, Carol Burnett proved that a female comedian could not only compete, but thrive in the entertainment world. Her ambition and originality paved the way for what would become one of the most iconic television variety shows of all time, The Carol Burnett Show. Before the curtain rose on that legendary program, however, Burnett's early years had already defined her as a trailblazer. Her humble beginnings, unmatched determination, and ability to find laughter even in adversity were the foundations of a career that would inspire generations to come. The pinnacle of Carol Burnett's career emerged in the late 1960s and flourished throughout the 1970s, when she became a household name and a beloved comedic icon across the United States and beyond. This golden era was defined by The Carol Burnett Show, a groundbreaking variety and sketch comedy program that not only showcased her versatile talent but also redefined the landscape of television comedy. Premiering on CBS in 1967, The Carol Burnett Show broke new ground as one of the few variety shows helmed by a woman. At a time when the television industry was still largely male-dominated, Burnett's leadership, creative control, and central role in a primetime series were nothing short of revolutionary. Her warm, down-to-earth persona and impeccable comedic timing quickly won over audiences, while her willingness to embrace physical comedy, self-deprecation, and character-driven sketches set her apart from contemporaries. Each week, the show delivered a blend of musical performances, hilarious skits, and celebrity guest appearances. Burnett's iconic characters, such as the dim-witted but lovable Eunice, the melodramatic Stella Toddler, and the wacky Mrs. Wiggins, became cultural staples, Her most famous sketch, the parody Went with the Wind, spoofed Gone with the Wind and became an instant classic, especially the unforgettable moment when Burnett descended a staircase wearing a curtain rod and drapes as a gown. A key component of her show's success was the ensemble cast she surrounded herself with: Harvey Korman, Vicki Lawrence, Tim Conway, and Lyle Waggoner. Their chemistry and comedic brilliance elevated the show into legendary status. Tim Conway's spontaneous improvisations often caused his fellow castmates to break character in uncontrollable laughter, adding to the authentic charm of the series. Vicki Lawrence, discovered by Burnett herself, held her own as a comedic powerhouse, most notably in her role as Mama in the Family sketches, a character that would later inspire Mama's Family. Beyond her ability to make people laugh, Burnett also demonstrated an uncanny talent for emotional depth. Her dramatic monologues, occasional musical performances, and heartfelt interviews revealed a multifaceted artist who could move her audience to both laughter and tears. Her closing message each week, "I'm so glad we had this time together," accompanied by a tug on her ear, a signal to her grandmother, became a symbol of her sincerity and connection with her viewers. Throughout its 11-season run, The Carol Burnett Show earned 25 Primetime Emmy Awards, a Peabody Award, and countless accolades. Burnett herself received numerous personal honors, including multiple Emmys and Golden Globes, solidifying her status as one of television's most influential and respected performers. The show's success also led to widespread syndication, ensuring that new generations would continue to discover and appreciate her humor. Burnett's peak era wasn't limited to television alone. She was also an accomplished stage and film actress during this time. Her performances in movies such as Pete and Tilly, 1972, and The Four Seasons, 1981, as well as her Broadway appearances in Once Upon a Mattress and other productions, demonstrated her range as a performer and her commitment to expanding her creative horizons. In retrospect, the 1970s represented the zenith of Carol Burnett's influence in popular culture. She became not just a comedian or a performer, but a symbol of warmth, wit, and resilience. In an age of cultural upheaval and social change, Burnett's humor provided a comforting refuge, one that celebrated the absurdities of life while honoring the shared humanity of her audience. Her legacy from this era remains embedded in the DNA of modern sketch comedy. Shows like Saturday Night Live, Mad TV, and Key and Peele owe a creative debt to the trail Burnett blazed. More importantly, her work during her peak years set the standard for future generations of female comedians, from Tina Fey to Kristen Wiig to Maya Rudolph, who cite her as a major inspiration. Carol Burnett's peak was not just a moment of personal success. It was a cultural milestone. Through her innovation, humor, and heart, she didn't just entertain the world, she changed it. While Carol Burnett is widely celebrated for her humor, warmth, and groundbreaking work in television, her journey was not without hardships, personal crises, and brushes with public controversy. Behind the laughter and standing ovations, Burnett faced a series of emotional and professional trials that tested her strength and resilience, both as a woman and as a performer. One of the most profound challenges Burnett faced was her turbulent family background. As she often candidly shared, Carol was raised in a household marked by alcoholism and poverty. Her parents, both struggling with addiction, eventually left her in the care of her grandmother in a modest Hollywood apartment. Though Carol would later speak of her grandmother with affection, the early instability shaped her lifelong empathy and resilience. Even during her comedic success, the shadows of her childhood trauma lingered quietly in the background. Professionally, the late 1970s marked a period of transition and uncertainty for Burnett. After the end of The Carol Burnett Show in 1978, a decision she made to leave on a high note, Carol found herself navigating a rapidly changing entertainment industry that was increasingly favoring edgy, new forms of comedy. Burnett, known for her wholesome, character-driven skits, found herself somewhat out of sync with the evolving landscape of American television. Subsequent variety shows, such as Carol Burnett and Company, did not replicate the success of her earlier work, leading some to question whether her brand of humor had become outdated. In the personal sphere, Burnett's life was deeply impacted by the struggles of her daughter, Carrie Hamilton. Carrie, an actress and singer, publicly battled drug addiction during her youth. Carol stood by her daughter, helping her through years of rehabilitation and ultimately witnessing Carrie's inspiring recovery and artistic success. Their bond grew even stronger through this ordeal, and they eventually co-wrote a play together titled Hollywood Arms, based on Burnett's memoirs. Tragically, just as their creative partnership was flourishing, Carrie was diagnosed with cancer and died in 2002 at the age of 38. This was unquestionably the most devastating chapter of Carol's life. Her grief was immense and long-lasting, and she has since spoken about the pain of losing a child with raw honesty and courage. Carol Burnett also faced public controversy in the form of legal battles. In 1981, she filed a landmark libel lawsuit against the National Enquirer, which had falsely claimed she was publicly intoxicated and behaving poorly in a restaurant. Burnett, whose parents had suffered from alcoholism, was especially sensitive to this accusation. The case became a high-profile moment in media law, as Burnett won the lawsuit and donated the settlement to support charitable organizations. This victory was more than personal. It stood as a symbolic stand against irresponsible tabloid journalism. Later in her life, Burnett encountered additional tensions surrounding privacy and guardianship. In 2020, she filed for legal guardianship of her teenage grandson, citing her daughter Erin Hamilton's ongoing battle with substance abuse. While the decision was heartbreaking, it demonstrated Burnett's commitment to family and her willingness to step in during times of crisis, regardless of public scrutiny. Despite these periods of heartache and controversy, Carol Burnett managed to preserve her grace, wit, and integrity, her ability to confront painful moments with compassion and humor, and her refusal to allow setbacks to define her, only deepened the respect she commanded in the public eye. Far from diminishing her legacy, these struggles made Carol Burnett more relatable, human, and enduring, a woman who could make others laugh while quietly surviving storms of her own. Despite facing personal and professional challenges in the late 1980s and early 1990s, Carol Burnett never allowed herself to be defined by setbacks. Rather than retreat from the spotlight, she embraced reinvention with grace, showcasing her enduring versatility and resilience. This period of renewal not only revived her career, but also reaffirmed her status as one of America's most beloved and enduring entertainers. After the cancellation of her long-running variety show, The Carol Burnett Show, and dealing with personal tragedies such as the loss of her daughter, Carrie Hamilton, to cancer in 2002, many wondered whether Burnett would continue her work in entertainment. However, Carol channeled her grief into strength, returning to the stage and screen with renewed purpose. Her appearances in television dramas such as Law & Order SVU, Desperate Housewives, and Glee demonstrated her ability to transcend genres and captivate audiences beyond comedy. In the realm of theater, Burnett continued to draw critical acclaim. She returned to Broadway in productions like Moon Over Buffalo and Putting It Together, where she proved that her theatrical instincts remained as sharp as ever. Her comedic timing, emotional depth, and dynamic stage presence allowed her to transition seamlessly into more dramatic and nuanced roles, expanding her artistic range. In addition to her acting, Carol Burnett emerged as an influential author during her comeback. She penned a series of best-selling memoirs, including One More Time and This Time Together, Laughter and Reflection, in which she reflected on her life, career, and the personal struggles that shaped her. These books were lauded for their honesty, humor, and emotional insight, giving readers a deeper understanding of the woman behind the iconic smile. The early 2000s and 2010s also brought numerous accolades reaffirming her legacy. She received the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2005, the Kennedy Center Honors in 2003, and the Mark Twain Prize for American Humor in 2013. Each award recognized not just her trailblazing contributions to entertainment, but also her impact on generations of performers who followed in her footsteps. In 2019, Burnett embraced a new generation of audiences by hosting the Netflix series A Little Help with Carol Burnett, where she humorously guided adults through everyday issues with the help of candid children. The show reflected her timeless charisma and her unique ability to connect across age groups. Even into her 80s, Carol Burnett showed no signs of slowing down. Her continued presence on television, in interviews, and at public events demonstrated that her wit, warmth, and passion for performance remained undiminished. She became not just a nostalgic icon, but a living bridge between the golden age of television and the contemporary entertainment world. Ultimately, Carol Burnett's journey of reinvention is a testament to her tenacity and love for her craft. Her return to prominence wasn't a simple comeback. It was a renaissance. Her resilience inspired millions, and her ability to evolve with grace ensured that her voice would never fade from the cultural conversation. For Carol Burnett, every chapter, no matter how challenging, offered a chance for reflection, humor, and above all, renewal. Carol Burnett's legacy is not confined to a single era, show, or achievement. It spans generations, industries, and boundaries, leaving an indelible mark on the landscape of entertainment. Her career has been not only a testament to her immense talent, but also to her courage, versatility, and enduring relevance. As one of the first women to host and produce her own television variety show, The Carol Burnett Show, she shattered glass ceilings in an industry that was overwhelmingly male-dominated and paved the way for future generations of female comedians, writers, and performers. One of Burnett's most significant contributions is her role in legitimizing and elevating the variety show format. Prior to her, variety shows were largely dominated by male performers such as Sid Caesar and Dean Martin. But Burnett's blend of sketch comedy, musical performances, and heartfelt monologues introduced a unique warmth and accessibility that captivated audiences. Her ability to shift seamlessly from slapstick comedy to genuine emotion became her trademark, offering a nuanced take on performance that influenced countless actors and comedians after her. What set Burnett apart was not just her comedic brilliance, but her vulnerability and relatability. In an era when female entertainers were often cast into narrow stereotypes, she defied convention by embracing physical comedy, parodying famous characters, and appearing on screen without glamour, sometimes in curlers and robes, in ways that were both fearless and refreshingly authentic. Through her most iconic characters, such as the bumbling Mrs. Wiggins or the star-struck secretary, she gave voice to the absurdities of everyday life, helping audiences laugh not just at the world, but at themselves. Burnett also introduced the idea of talking to the audience. At the beginning of every episode, a segment where she answered questions from viewers. This simple gesture made her seem approachable and real, deepening her connection with the public and setting a precedent for other shows that followed. It's hard to imagine late-night hosts or sketch comedians today not acknowledging the influence of that kind of audience engagement, which Burnett pioneered. Her influence is perhaps most evident in the work of the women who came after her. Comedians such as Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, Ellen DeGeneres, Kristen Wiig, and Maya Rudolph have all cited Carol Burnett as an inspiration. In fact, many of them have followed in her footsteps, blending comedy with satire, emotion with intelligence, a fusion that Carol perfected. She made it clear that women didn't need to choose between being funny and being taken seriously. Outside of the comedy sphere, Burnett also made significant contributions as a dramatic actress, notably in her Emmy-nominated performances in Friendly Fire and The 10th Month. These roles revealed a more serious side to her talent and cemented her as a versatile artist capable of moving audiences in multiple ways. Her memoirs, including One More Time and This Time Together, further showcased her ability to connect with readers through her candid reflections on fame, family, and personal hardship. Burnett's honors and awards reflect the magnitude of her influence. In addition to her 6 Primetime Emmy Awards, she has received a Kennedy Center Honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and the Mark Twain Prize for American Humor. In 2019, the Golden Globe Awards created the Carol Burnett Award, a Lifetime Achievement Award in television, the first of its kind, further underscoring her trailblazing impact. Fittingly, she was the award's first recipient. Beyond the accolades, Carol Burnett's true legacy lives in the laughter she has inspired, the doors she has opened, and the stories she has helped others tell. Her commitment to mentoring young performers, her generosity with fans, and her unwavering grace in the public eye have made her not just an icon, but a role model. In today's complex and often divided world, Carol Burnett's body of work continues to offer a rare kind of joy, humor that unites rather than divides, comedy that uplifts without mocking. Her legacy reminds us that at the heart of great entertainment is empathy, and at the heart of great performance is truth. As long as audiences cherish laughter and storytelling, Carol Burnett's influence will endure, a towering figure in entertainment whose legacy transcends television and touches the very fabric of American culture. Behind Carol Burnett's radiant smile and timeless comedic brilliance lies a deep well of personal sorrow, grief that would shape her as much as any of her professional triumphs. Though she was revered as the first lady of television comedy, Carol's life off-screen was punctuated by painful chapters that tested the very core of her resilience. Among all the trials she endured, the most heartbreaking was the tragic loss of her daughter, Carrie Hamilton. Carrie, Carol's eldest daughter with producer Joe Hamilton, was not only the spitting image of her mother, but also inherited her fierce wit, artistic drive, and determination. Their relationship was forged in both love and struggle. During her teenage years, Carrie faced a tumultuous battle with drug addiction. Carol, in a painful echo of her own childhood, marked by the alcoholism of both her parents, was forced to confront the cruel reality of watching her child spiral into self-destruction. Rather than hide behind the curtain of celebrity, Carol stood firm as a mother, choosing tough love and intervention over silence. She checked Carrie into rehab at a young age, refusing to enable the cycle of denial. Thankfully, Carrie emerged from the darkness. She became sober by her late teens and went on to build a promising career as an actress and writer. The bond between mother and daughter grew stronger, transformed by honesty, forgiveness, and mutual admiration. They even collaborated creatively, co-authoring the play Hollywood Arms, which was based on Carol's early life. It was a full-circle moment, a celebration of survival, of generational healing, and the joy of artistic expression shared between two kindred spirits. But in 2002, life dealt Carol a cruel blow. Carrie, just 38 years old, was diagnosed with lung cancer that eventually spread to her brain. The diagnosis came like a lightning strike. Carol, who had weathered decades in the brutal world of show business, now faced a foe she could not outwit or outlast. As Carrie's health declined, Carol stayed by her side every day, watching helplessly as her vibrant daughter, her friend, her co-writer, her greatest joy, slipped away. Carrie passed away later that year, and with her, a piece of Carol's heart. The loss was shattering. In interviews, Carol would often speak about Carrie with both pride and pain. "Carrie was my hero," she once said. "She faced everything with such courage and humor." Though she tried to move forward, the grief remained etched in her being. The sorrow was not only that of a mother losing a child, but also of an artist losing her muse. The laughter that Carol gifted so freely to others now had to compete with the silence left behind. In the years following Carrie's death, Carol channeled her sorrow into legacy. Hollywood Arms premiered posthumously for Carrie, serving as both a tribute and a love letter. Carol also continued supporting addiction awareness and children's charities, understanding firsthand the fragility of life and the weight of loss. She never allowed her sorrow to define her, but she never denied it either. That honesty, that quiet courage, only deepened the admiration the public held for her. The death of Carrie Hamilton remains the most profound sorrow of Carol Burnett's life. Yet even in that sorrow, Carol modeled something rare and beautiful: the possibility of grieving with grace, of honoring the departed through creation, and of transforming unbearable loss into compassion and strength. Just as she had always done, Carol turned tragedy into art and pain into a deeper kind of truth.